Hello everybody, my name is Cameron Steiner, and today I wanted to discuss something that I've always wanted to discuss about because it regards to aviation history, and two, not a lot of people really talk about this incident. I feel that this moment in aviation history is largely thrown out and cast out to the side because it's not really more of a success story. However, I do feel like it's more of a valuable lesson as to how to build aircraft and what not to do to build aircraft. So what I'm going to do for this mini lecture today is that I'm going to be going over some of the details of the aircraft designer, how they built the aircraft, what the aircraft is, what were the results of the aircraft, and some ways that it can be improved. So let's get started. This presentation is going to explore the ideas, the history, and the concepts of the plane, the Christmas Bullet, built by Dr. William Christmas. This aircraft was said to be the next generation of American fighter planes. And this presentation will also explain the details of why this aircraft was heavily disregarded by the aviation community and why the main components of this aircraft were best known to fail constantly, which would end up giving this aircraft's name the most poorly built airplane in aviation history. The ushering in of a new era of transportation was well underway. In 1903, the Wright brothers' first flight in their plane was made of wood, canvas, and carefully strung lines that was able to lift it off the ground independently with the help of Wilbur Wright at the controls. Aviation was bound to be very popular, and many people were able to capitalize on it. When people caught word of this technological advancement, a new form of travel became mainstream: transportation by air. Many great aviation pioneers such as Glenn Curtiss, Bill Boeing, Bessie Coleman, etc. decided to dabble in this new form of transportation. Some, however, were not so successful in aircraft building and manufacturing. One such aircraft was a flop, in that aviation enthusiasts, pilots, and builders alike knew about its creator, the Christmas Bullet. Even from just looking at a picture of the aircraft, there was one thing that stood out from all the aircraft of the time compared to his. There were really no struts or bracing wires on the main set of wings, and Dr. William Christmas was behind this engineering marvel. The claims coming from this aircraft were said to be like none other. He claimed that this aircraft, before being presented to the general public in the U.S. military, was already being backordered in Europe for hundreds of units, as a means to get the U.S. military on board with this project. However, there was one little flaw in his aircraft. This plane was proven to have a killing ratio. Perfect, to be exact. So perfect that even the pilot of the Christmas Bullet was killed. The main reason for this plane's perfect killing ratio was in fact its wings. Every time this airplane would fly, the wings would always just snap off. But Dr. Christmas kept building them anyway. No matter how this aircraft was viewed, it was mechanically flawed, and that this flaw was what made it impossible to fly and stay alive. I did some research on this aircraft, and in one of the articles, it was about a Virginia historian. Her name was Mary Lipsey, and she believed that Dr. Christmas should have been recognized more as a pioneer. Most of the information of the historian provided was mainly contradictory evidence for Dr. Christmas's induction into the Aviation Hall of Fame. Lipsey nominated him for the Virginia Hall of Fame, but so far, the Aeronautical Historical Society has declined to induct him. William Christmas was born in 1865 and moved to Washington, D.C. when he was a younger boy. He was actually really enthusiastic about things that could fly, as he also studied the flying characteristics of birds. Some of his findings were that a bird's main source of flight was how they flapped their wings while they flew. With this enthusiasm for flying, he studied electrical engineering and understood how engines worked and how the electrical components on aircraft were able to function. He also got into some designing and manufacturing, like new inventions. One of his first recorded patents was an artillery shell equipped with blades designed to mince an enemy, and he had attended multiple universities where he also deemed the title of Doctor of Medicine. However, he didn't really practice the medicine for he had a passion of aircraft. Dr. Christmas was known for many claims of greatness, but were also known to be fake. Upon many other claims of patents that he created, he boasted that he had constructed a perfectly working aircraft in 1908, nicknamed the Red Bird. However, this aircraft was strikingly similar to the Aerial Experiment Association's Red Wing. In his report, Christmas wrote that his Redbird plane was intentionally burned after a successful flight to cover up and hide his design from his competitors. No documentation of the Redbird has been found so far, other than claims in newspapers and all of that. His Christmas bullet model, after the design of the Redbird, was considered his flagship of his quickly made aircraft company, with the help of a few local businessmen in the DC area. More light is given to Dr. Christmas's achievements through another article titled "The Christmas Bullet Was the Worst Aircraft Ever Made." This man goes into detail on Christmas' shortcomings with his aircraft company, and he lays waste to the design choices for his bullet aircraft. He says that the Christmas bullet is a product of a bygone age when a lone madman could get rich convincing a New York senator, an established aerospace firm, and the military all at the same time that he could develop the greatest aircraft that the world has ever seen. And to be honest, he is right. The entire aircraft was made of metal, which made the bullet nearly twice as heavy as conventional aircraft of that time. It was also constructed with a military-issued and borrowed Liberty six-cylinder engine, which the aircraft company was given specific instructions not to use for flight testing until inspected by military officials. The main feature was not perfected, and this was their choice of wings. In his design and prototype, Dr. Christmas believed the struts and braces were unnecessary, and that the lack of structure would allow the wings of the plane to flap like a bird. Put two and two together, that understands why he likes birds so much. He also insisted that the wings be made of two sections with their steel counterparts welded together. And despite most findings on how this would in fact make the wings susceptible to wing fracture and the potential to snap clean in half, Christmas promoted the idea of welding the wings into one piece would make them safer and stronger for the aircraft, and that it was a crucial part of its design. At the time of the bullet's creation, Dr. Christmas and the Christmas Aircraft Company were on the verge of bankruptcy and needed to contract another business to help build their planes. So they partnered with the Continental Aircraft Company, which was also on the verge of going under, and to build better business relations between both companies. Mr. Vincent Bernelli, this guy's important, I will show you in a second, but Vincent Bernelli, a co-designer of the bullet and an engineer of the Continental Aircraft Company, actually advocated against building of the aircraft's wing based on its specifications. He called it a death trap, and to his horror, Christmas and the Continental Aircraft Company are planning on having an actual human attempt to fly this thing. Bernilli, after making his concerns known to no avail in front of Dr. Christmas, he decided to retire or resign from the project, and he had gone on to design and work for the Lawson Aircraft Company. Dr. Christmas, however, was still pushed on with his design, and he made a fully operating aircraft in 1918. This airplane was destined for success in Christmas's eyes, and he wanted to have this airplane be used by the U.S. and Great Britain's military during the Great War in a secret operation to, evidently enough, kidnap Kaiser Wilhelm II as a means of leverage and winning the war. However, no actual aircraft purchases were recorded despite the numerous claims of orders coming in from Europe at the time. The name "The Worst Airplane Ever Built" was created when the bullet started to be tested in the air. Christmas was able to find his first test pilot, Cuthbert Mills, who recently flew for the U.S. Army Air Corps and the U.S. Air Mail Service. According to one of my articles, he was very excited and honored to be a test pilot for such a cutting-edge airplane. So excited, in fact, that he invited his mother to see the initial flight of him piloting the bullet, And unfortunately, she had to bear witness to Mills' test flight. All was going well when all of a sudden, just as Mr. Bernelli had predicted, the wings snapped in half as easily as one would snap a twig in between their hands. She watched in horror as her son fell out of the sky and at about 400 feet and plummeted into the property of a nearby farmer, instantly killing him. And interestingly enough, Christmas deemed this flight a success. He went on to get another propeller and motor from the Army in order to build another exact copy of the bullet, and a few months later, he was ready for another test flight. We taking a look here. This aircraft was supposed to be like a small, short-range fighter, and as you can see here with the empty weight and the gross weight, 1,800 pounds is a lot for a World War I aircraft. Back in the day, the gross weight should have been around 1,800 pounds, but this one was sporting a measly 2,100 with a engine that is about half the size of what they were actually using back then. However, it did produce a matter of 185 horsepower, which is a lot for most modern planes, especially today. The maximum horsepower rating for like a conventional general aviation aircraft is about 200, and then once you pass that 200, you have to start training for a high performance license to operate something like that. Its maximum speed was about 175 miles an hour, and it had a range of about 550 miles. But yeah, like I said before, the mechanical failure was that the wings were made in two sections and that they were welded together. If you go and look at more photos of the Christmas bullet, you can see that the wings looked as if they were like drooping down because of how heavy they were. And since there was no like structural bracing on this aircraft, as you can see right here and right here, the wings snapped in half. And unfortunately, not only did this kill Mr. Cuthbert Mills, but it also killed someone else. In one of the articles, it states that the next test pilot was a man by the name of Allington Jolly. He was a decorated war veteran who served with distinction in the French Air Force. Shortly after taking off, just like Mr. Mills, Jolly lost control of the aircraft, which plummeted into a barn and killing him instantly. Both instances were covered up and kept hush-hush by the Christmas Aircraft Company, and they went on to make more false claims on how their aircraft was extraordinary, and its success was considered to be a marvel in aviation. Honestly, what was scary was that he was able to get away with such false claims with a product that was able to kill the pilot due to the fact that his insufficient knowledge in aircraft design came together to produce a company, and the product was barely worth time looking at, let alone investing in. Both pilots of the Christmas bullet were killed due to the same issue that the plane always had to offer: wing stability failure. Even in the original article on the bullet, paraphrased that the reasons all of these decorated test pilots kept crashing and dying was due to the fact that the welds Christmas insisted were safe and reliable kept snapping and breaking off, causing the wings to fold in half, and in actuality were as strong as rolling up a piece of paper and trying to fold it at its halfway point. At the end of the historian's article, her referral to the Virginia Aeronautical Society for Dr. Christmas was quickly denied, undoubtedly, and for good reason. Now, I'd like to go over some solutions before I end this video here. I feel that, for one, if you killed a test pilot from a design that you deemed safe and it really wasn't, and if you had a track record of falsely claiming achievements, I honestly believe that you should be barred from ever doing something like that again. And since you have the death of two skilled and able-bodied pilots on your hands, I feel like that deserves jail time. I also feel that Dr. Christmas should not have really fired or Mr. Brunelli, or at least convinced him and came up with a compromise to strengthen the structure of the wings. And I honestly feel like he should have used his biplane construction. As you can see in this little image right here, you do have little wings on the bottom. So why can't you use struts and braces to put the wings together and make them more like stable and sturdy? If you did not want to do that, you could have just used a lug bolt system, which could have bolted the wings to the chassis instead of just welding them onto the chassis. One last thing before I go, I feel like you shouldn't have been lying about your achievements either way. So I felt like if you would have actually pulled through with your designs, I feel that this plane would have been an excellent success. In doing so, I would like to show you guys a quick little video diagram of an RC model of the Christmas bullet and how it should have been flying if the wings were more sturdy. As you can see right here, this is Dr. William Christmas, and that's how the wings had drooped down because they were so heavy. Here are a few more images caught by local citizens and people of the town that they were testing in. And here's the RC model. Somebody said, well, she's a little bit still. Somebody said, sure, there's nothing up in her head. But when they rave, I go see, 'cause I know she's in love with me, so what do I care? It's honestly a great flying plane, in my opinion, according to this RC model, but the wings were just not stable enough to keep it afloat, and unfortunately it caused the deaths of 2 people. So, well, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat below. I'd like to thank you for watching my 20-minute video. I know it was long, but I felt like this was a really interesting topic to talk about because it related a lot to aviation history. So if you, like I said, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I would love to answer them for you. And thank you for watching my video. Here are my sources. And I hope everybody has a great Christmas break. All right. Bye now.